Okay. So greetings of peace, love, and light, and welcome to Raising Sun Rays, where we explore the esoteric in parenting. I'm your host, Robin Ringgold, and today's topic is using essential oils, with children. And our special guest today is Randy Brumley.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
And just want to remind all of our attendees that they can ask questions in the Q&A section. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about Randy's background, just to kind of introduce you all. So Randy has an amazing story. She experienced an awakening after her daughter was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. She searched for natural ways to help her body and found essential oils. She also began kind of exploring her spiritual path, I would say. So she found Kristen, and Kristen helped her to develop her gifts further. She took classes from other teachers, and as a result, she grew tremendously. And Randy's daughter is surrounded by angels, and very connected to the other side of the veil, and has been a huge catalyst to Randy's awakening and her abilities coming full circle. So Randy feels that her daughter is the other half of her soul, which I thought was absolutely amazing. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my honor. So we're going to be talking about essential oils today. So if you want to just kind of get started with how you started using essential oils, we could start there.
Okay. Well, I started, as you had said, with my daughter. I was looking for alternate natural ways to support her body and to help her muscular system specifically. With cerebral palsy, they have a lot of muscle spasms, and there's a lot of things that are pretty unbalanced. So I really didn't want to go through the mainstream route of a lot of flooding of chemicals into her body. I felt just a real pull towards essential oils. And it's not that we don't use medicines. We obviously do that too. We do it any way we can. But I really wanted a choice in the matter, and I wanted to be empowered to help her. So we started supporting her muscles with essential oils, and these are therapeutic grade essential oils. They're different than the ones you would get at Walmart or Walgreens or that sort of store. So they're really highly powerful. They're tested for their potency and their purity, and we started using them, and within the first week we saw over 80 different benefits with her. Wow. It was just amazing. And some things I can talk about and some things I can't, because we have to be compliant. So obviously I'm not here to treat, diagnose, or heal anybody's diseases or problems. These are just ways to support what your body does naturally. So that's what we did. Yes. And it's an amazing journey. So, and we haven't looked back, and now her immune system is stronger than any kid in her class. Wow. She doesn't get sick from normal, things that would come into the classroom, and it's just been amazing.
Wow. So could you talk a little bit about the difference between the therapeutic grade and the oils that you pick up in, say, like Whole Foods?
Yes. Oh, yes. The therapeutic grade are tested from the time that seed for that plant is put into the soil. There's no chemicals in the soil. There's no pesticides. They test every seed even. And from the time it's put into the bottle, it's almost virtually untouched by man. And it's also, each lot is tested. So there's certain constituents that you get in each essential oil for the properties that it holds, the healing benefits that it holds, and what it does. And so these are really tested vigorously through certain gas I can't even say the word, gas chromometers or something, to have that purity and that constituent in it. So the ones that you would get at like Whole Foods, a lot of times they make them more cheaply to extend what they have. So there's a lot of chemicals involved. There's a lot of solvents involved to extract more. The ones that we use are steam distilled at very low temperatures so that they can extract most of that pure oil. Even the water that's underneath, there's a separation of an oil and then a water underneath. That floral water is also used and put back into the earth. So they have a real good practice of giving back to Mother Earth, which I find just amazing.
Awesome.
So yeah, those are the two main differences, is the chemicals that they would use in a cheaper brand.
Awesome. So I've actually heard someone speak before about essential oils being alive. So if we think about, if they come right from a plant and they're hardly touched, do they still have that same essence?
Oh, definitely, definitely. The essential oils have some of the most highest frequencies in the plant kingdom, because if you think about it, you're not just taking let's just use citrus, like lemon. You're not just taking one lemon, but you're taking that whole tree, and that whole tree is in that little bottle. So it takes a lot of product, or what do you call? Maybe if you're distilling the bark of a tree, it takes a lot of that tree to make a certain amount of oil. So it's very, very highly concentrated, and they have the highest frequency. Now, I do know that herbs that are dried have a lower frequency. These are real, alive, living plants. And the highest frequency that we know that has been measured in the essential oil community has been the rose oil, which is at 300, I believe it's 320 or 360 hertz or megahertz. Wow. So it's really high. So in addition to using the essential oils, it also helps raise your vibration too. So it's really good when you use those, and it helps the body's vibration raise too, physically, spiritually, mentally. So they have a lot of benefits to them.
Wow, so amazing. So as far as working with oils with children, what age group would you recommend starting with?
Well, I didn't start with Michaela until she was about 2, but that's only because I didn't know about them until she was that old. But you can use them on babies. You have to be very careful when you use them with babies, because baby skins are very permeable. They're very thin. So I like to think of our skin not as a barrier, but a carrier. So things that touch your skin also go into your skin. So you're not going to want to be rubbing menthol type, like a peppermint essential oil right on their chest or on their throat, because they could have really severe breathing reactions to that. So you just really want to make sure that you're diluting your essential oils with a carrier oil, which is like your olive oil, your coconut oil. Sweet almond oil is another good one. I always have those available because you just never know. But typically a lot of your warmer oils like oregano, cinnamon, that kind of thing, you kind of want to steer away. But we have found that lavender is very gentle, and you can use that on babies. You can put it right on their feet, and it just really calms the system. There's cedarwood is a really good one that helps them sleep. And they've also found that orange oil mixed with lavender has helped to calm and relax the nervous system.
Wow.
So it's been a very good one. Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about some different ways to use oils besides just rubbing or applying?
Oh, sure. Yes, we actually use them many different ways, and I brought some examples here. So here is a copy or a bottle of Michaela's oils that I brought. Obviously, you can use them. This is a roller bottle. You can make your own blends if you like. This is a muscle blend for her. Okay. It's a liquid, so we put this on her, and that's made with sweet almond oil. And then there's also, you can make a rub. This is virgin unrefined coconut oil, so we mixed it up in that too, and you can apply that topically. And then we've also made sprays, like room sprays. So, aromatically you can use it. It's really good because it goes right to your limbic system, which is the seat of your emotions. So with emotional release, it's a really good one, and it will bring back memories. So like, for me, we used to have a lemon tree in our backyard when I was growing up. And so lemon is a really big one that brings back those memories for me. And then you can also ingest them. Certain ones are labeled for ingesting purposes. This is a big controversy in the essential oil world, but the company that I go through, they have a specific brand that is listed as by the FDA as generally regarded as safe, the GRAS certification, and that means that you can use them as additives in your cooking, in your food, or as a dietary supplement. So definitely make sure you know where you're getting your oils if you are considering using them, and start slow. Start slow. That's what I always say, because they're concentrated, so a little drop goes a long way.
Yes, absolutely. One thing that I've been reading about recently, although we're talking about children, I've been seeing a lot of posts about pets.
Oh,
and
yes.
I have a cat, and I have a diffuser, and I started thinking, oh, wow, I need to be a lot more careful. So.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff going around. One thing that you have to figure with the articles that you read is the source. So some of those articles, we don't know where those essential oils are being bought. So do they have chemicals in them? Do they have parabens? All that kind of thing. A true pure oil is that's tested for the purity is going to be the best thing, but there are still precautions that you should use with your pets. Citrus oils are typically pretty toxic to cats, so you want to kind of stay away from those ones, but there are ones that are specific essential oils that are good for animals, like lavender is really good. Obviously start slow and make sure that your cat is okay with that. They will run if they don't like something. And with the diffuser in your room, one thing, I do a lot of diffusing of citrus oils, and my cats are completely fine. Make sure they have an open area so that they can leave if they want to leave. That's one thing that I noticed. And when I diffuse, they don't have a problem with it. If they want to leave, they'll go in the bedrooms.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So could you talk a little bit more about I guess how parents were, well, I guess you can't really talk about, okay, let's talk about going to sleep at night and children that have a hard time falling asleep. What would you recommend?
There's a lot of different recommendations. One thing we started off with Michaela, because Michaela had those kind of same issues. We were having problems, with sleep, and we just needed her whole body just to feel relaxed. So cedar wood and lavender together is good. Orange and lavender is really good. There's also some blends out there through the company that I use. I try to stay away from the blends so that people can find their own company that they like, so they don't specifically have to come to a company that I am, even though I love that. I would say anything in, the lavender type, the cedar woods. I do use some grounding oils with Michaela too, because some kids really need that grounding, especially if they're a little bit hypersensitive. We have a lot of kids coming into the earth now that are more awake and aware, and they have a lot more stimulation. So I do like to use grounding oils. Those are your tree oils. So I love to use Idaho Blue Spruce. That one is really good. There's a one called Northern Lights Black Spruce. It's a black spruce. So anything like that is going to be very grounding. Vetiver is really good for relaxing and grounding too. So I have used that with, I have a child that has that sensitivity and that stimulation problem in addition to Michaela. So we use both of those too. And we put it right on the bottoms of their feet. Bottoms of the feet are really good for, especially if you're just starting out, and especially with children. One, if you don't like the smell, you can just put your socks on.
Yes.
And two, there's the biggest pores. They have the biggest pores in the bottom of your feet, so they'll absorb really good. And it's pretty typically well tolerated. So.
Right. I've actually heard that we have portals on the bottoms of our feet.
Yes, your feet chakras.
Yes.
Yep, definitely. And that helps that, and they work synergistically together. So definitely.
So what suggestions for mixing oils? So are there kind of like, some oils that you just shouldn't mix, or is there kind of guidelines for what goes best together, or?
I haven't really heard of oils that you shouldn't mix together. Typically, I love the dilution ratios. I have actually reference materials. If you really want to get into essential oils, there are many different really good reference materials out there that can give you dilution ratios. If I am unsure, I will do like a 2-to-10 ratio with my drops, or a 50-50, depending on who I'm using it on. If it's a really small baby, you dilute it a lot, what I do is I typically don't mix any more than probably 5 essential oils at a time, but we're more experienced. If you're just starting out, I would only first try 1 oil. If that's well tolerated, I would try 2 and work up from that, you
Right.
know, and layer them. A lot of them can be layered on top of each other if you're using them topically. So you can use lavender, and then you can layer cedarwood, and then maybe orange. Be careful with the orange oil because citrus oils can be photosensitive. So if you go out in the sun, you can get burned really bad, or if you're tanning or, you know, in a sauna. So make sure you give 1 to 2 days after you use a citrus oil on your skin before you go into the sun.
Wow. So we actually have a question.
Uh-huh.
And so someone asked what you would recommend for kind of like headaches or ascension symptoms. And so I kind of think this kind of crosses over into using oils for adults, number one.
Yes.
Which is okay, I think, that we can
Mm-hmm.
cover that. But
Definitely.
are you able to answer that question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure. There are a couple ones that come to mind for me, and one of them is peppermint's really good for head pain. I call it head pain. We know what that is. And wintergreen's another really good one. That's good. You can put it on the back of your neck. That will also help muscle aches and pains from ascension symptoms. It helps open you up. I also love to use geranium. That helps open up my heart chakra.
Wow.
So, you know, if you need to open up any of the, and you can put these on your chakra points too. So any of these oils you can, and I have done that today. I've actually used my Angelica oil. I have an Angelica oil that helps with protection aura, and it creates like a bubble wrap against negative energy. So you can, you know, definitely these oils also have such a vibration that when you drop them, you can use them over. You don't have to just use them topically, aromatically, but you can also put them over your chakra areas, and it will help cleanse and balance your chakras as well. So, and peppermint's a really good one. Frankincense is really good too. I love frankincense.
Me too.
It's like my all-around favorite.
You know, so this is really interesting. I kept getting like my vision. I kept having vision problems with kind of, I think it was an ascension symptoms. And I did a Google search, and someone said rubbing frankincense on the third eye area. And let me tell you, night and
help.
day,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like I have it next to my bed, just sitting there. So that helped tremendously.
Yep. And frankincense has one of the highest constituents that actually helps your brain. So it's got a lot of brain helping properties, brain supporting properties. There's a lot of research going on right now with frankincense. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Because this is a whole nother, you know, a whole nother level of health.
Yes, yes. So could you talk a little bit about like where to rub? So I know you talked about the points, but do you typically target like lymph areas or like?
Depending on what your usage is for it. So if you want, there's actually a lot of VitaFlex points that you can use. So your feet area, you know, there's certain areas that are for your brain, like your big toe. I do that a lot with Michaela because I try to concentrate a lot of things on her brain and her nervous system. And she had some issues with her digestive system. So we were looking at the foot. And I actually do have a picture, a foot diagram. You can do that. There's also areas on your ear that you can rub that also correlate with some of your organ systems.
Right.
Typically what I do if I don't know is I'll rub it right over where I need it. Granted, don't ever put it in your eye or in your ears because there's such a high vibration that it will like really hurt. So I've gotten oils in my eye. I've gotten peppermint in my eye. So what you would want to do, I know it hurts so bad, is put like a coconut oil or an olive oil, any kind of carrier oil, put it right in your eye and it'll sweep it across. Don't ever use water because water and oil don't mix and it will hurt. It will make it worse. So yeah, so those are the ways that I would, when in doubt, put it on your feet, put it over the area that you need help with. The wonderful thing about essential oils is they know where to go and they know where you need support. So it's not like you really have to, you know, once it gets into that system, it crosses the blood-brain barrier, it it gets the signals from your body. Your body is a magnificent machine, and it knows where to send those oils. And whatever's not needed will be excreted.
Wow. Now that I did not know. It's so
Yeah.
amazing. So what about using oils for things that we don't think about, like cleaning the home or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, what are some other uses?
Definitely. That is a big thing for my family. We use it to clean, and we've gotten rid of almost all of our chemicals just by using essential oils and essential oil products. So essential oils like tea tree is very disinfecting. So you can use tea tree. You can get a bottle of white distilled vinegar and put tea tree or even lemon in there. That's really good. I know clove is really good, and it's really good for the immune system. So clove, cinnamon, that kind of thing. Rosemary is another good one that's disinfecting. So I know there's a lot of blends out there right now that have the rosemary, the clove, cinnamon, lemon, I think it is, all integrated into one blend, and you can drop it into your vinegar, distilled water. I use distilled water, and I have actually, there's a cleaning agent that is through the essential oil company that I use. But I've done vinegar and lemon for my windows, and it just is like amazing. So it's,
Wow.
yeah, definitely. And a lot of times when you diffuse, through the air, that is cleaning the air around you too. So a lot of times when you're using rosemary, tea tree in the air, it will pick up a lot of those viruses and such and pull them from your air. So when I know that some kids are getting yuckies from school, I'll have my diffusers going everywhere. So
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's awesome.
yeah.
So, I had another question. I know. What
Mm-hmm.
about if you want to replace, the chemicals that we're using for perfumes and
Oh, yes.
body sprays? Like, what do you recommend for that?
There are some that you can use, like ylang ylang is really good. It's, I use that as like a perfume. It's really good. There are other things you can use as far as like deodorants to get the aluminum type deodorants out of your, you can use tea tree. There is a blend, of course, that we have that's called Purification, and I use that under my arms, and we call it the stinky oil because any kind of smell you can think of, because I have teenage boys, it will
Right.
get out. And it's true. And I'll put it typically, this is just distilled water. I put a little bit of like pink Himalayan salt in there and a few drops of oil. And this is like my room spray. I use this for static cling because we use wool dryer balls for the dryer. We don't use dryer sheets because those are loaded with chemicals. One thing that I've noticed with my family is that their health has gotten so much better since we've ditched the toxins and incorporated oils into our cleaning products, and a lot of these chemicals that we have into our house are hormone disruptors.
Yes.
So you're going to see kids going through puberty a lot earlier, or, having emotional issues and getting sicker a lot, So we've noticed the whole, puberty thing with some of our younger kids, and it's just really eye-opening. Really eye-opening.
Yes. Wow. I just thought of something.
Mm-hmm.
When people are getting sessions from
Mm-hmm.
you or another intuitive, I was thinking a good question would be, what's the best oil for me?
For
I
you?
just thought about, well, I'm not saying for me.
For
maybe,
anybody?
yeah, I'm just thinking that would be a great question for people to start asking. Yeah.
Well, one oil that I always have is frankincense. That not only grounds me as an intuitive, but I feel like it also helps cleanse the area. It's just very high vibrational oil. And there's a reason why it was used back in biblical times and Egyptian times. Same thing with myrrh. Myrrh is a really good one. Now, the really pure types of these oils are going to be a little bit more expensive, but well worth the price. I also have an oil that I use called White Angelica, which I love. This is like my bubble wrap. So what it does is it protects you and it gets rid of that negative energy. So it creates a barrier between you and any kind of negative energy. So I call it my bubble wrap. And it's very intoxicating. smell. It's got like sacred sandalwood in it and myrrh, and it's just amazing. So that's a very good one. So those would be the three that I pretty much use, because I can use frankincense for grounding when I feel a little, lightheaded, or I have a lot of energy coming in during my sessions. I'll take the frankincense, drop it right into the palm of my hand, rub my hands together, and just inhale. And it's immediate. Yeah, you can definitely tell a shift. So that's one that I recommend to anybody, is frankincense. It's like my Swiss Army knife of oils, because it's good for so many different things.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what about when you said cleansing the area? Would you would you put the frankincense in a spray bottle?
Yep. I've made aura cleansing sprays with those. Lavender is a good aura cleansing spray. I've put the purification blend in there, the Angelica, and I will spray. Yep. Especially if you don't want to use, or you don't have access to smudging materials, with the sage. Sage is another good one. Palo Santo is another good one. I'm trying to think of the other one. I think I was just frankincense, Palo Santo, and sage. Really good for cleansing. And you can put your crystals right in here too. I have little tiny crystals that you can put in there, and that gives a higher vibration into that too. So you get those properties.
Excuse me. Yeah, I was just thinking, it's reminding me of crystals, because, I use those for grounding, but I had been using the oils. So I'm definitely going to add that to practice. Another thing that I've done is put just drops in my bath water. So could you talk a little bit about,
Yes, I love that. That's a really good grounding technique too, is to take either pink Himalayan salt or Epsom salt and drop your drops right into that. And that will help when you put it in the bath water to help it settle and kind of mix a little bit better than just putting it right on top of the water where it kind of floats.
Okay.
That's typically what I do with both me, my daughter, and just when you get out of the bathtub, it's just, you feel amazing. You feel clean. You feel energetically clean, I should say, and it's really relaxing too. So good for, topical, aromatic. So really good.
Wow. Awesome. So I just want to ask if any of our attendees have any questions, just to remind them, if you want to put your questions in the Q&A section. Okay. Just checking to see if we have any other questions.
Sure.
Okay. And so is there anything else that you kind of wanted to cover that we haven't covered yet?
I think we pretty much covered it all.
So how would one go about finding where to purchase therapeutic grade oils?
Therapeutic grade oils, the companies, there's a couple really big companies. They're typically network marketing companies, so you're going to get word of mouth on how good they are. That's why I like the companies the way they are run. Instead of spending that money on marketing and TV ads and all that, they invest it back into their distributors. So anytime you want to find a distributor, that's the way I would go. If anybody wants to ask me, I would definitely set them up with therapeutic grade oils and give them information if they resonate with me. Otherwise, there's a whole host on the internet that you can look up. I just wouldn't really recommend buying oils from Amazon, because you just never know what's going to be in there. They could be tampered with. So make sure you get it right from the company, so that and you have that guarantee.
Yes, absolutely. So we did have another question. Someone is having a sore throat, and they wanted to know what oil to rub on the throat area.
I would go with peppermint. Peppermint is my all-time favorite, and you can even ingest that into your tea and make a tea drink. Yep, you can put it into honey. You can drop a little drop of honey and lemon into, peppermint and lemon into honey, and just take it by the spoonful.
Wow.
And that's very calming.
So you mentioned putting crystals actually in your bottle. So I'm just going to go back to that again, because I'm a crystal person. So are there particular crystals that work best with the essential oils, or?
I think that's probably pretty much up to the person that's depending on what they're making it for. I like to use a lot of amethyst and clear quartz, because clear quartz is just generally good for everything, and it has such a high vibration. So I typically gravitate towards those. Just make sure if you do put them in, that they're able to hold in the water. They're not toxic, because there are certain crystals that when you do put them in the water, they can become toxic. So those are one of the things that I would recommend. But otherwise, kind of, I have a reference book that I like to use. So if I'm like, I'm going to make this, and then I look and see what crystals would align to that. And typically you can kind of guesstimate what crystals would be good by even their color, because the colors will coordinate with some of the things that may come up for you. If it's, aura cleansing or chakra balancing, or just, negative energy, trying to get rid of negative energy. But you can't go wrong with clear quartz. Love it.
Yes. So let's just kind of wrap up with going back to parents. I just want to make sure that they understand how they can use the oils, and you don't have to just rub it on your child, and you don't necessarily have to well, I'm not sure about that, but anyhow, let's kind of just sort of wrap up with going back to parents and how they can the oils. I just want to kind of make sure we hone in on that point.
Oh, sure. Definitely. Anytime I talk children, I talk dilution. So make sure that you're diluting your oils. Make sure you know what the oil is, what it does. Make sure it's not a real warming oil, because that's going to burn the skin if it's not diluted properly. And kids have such sensitive skin that I always say dilute, and use as little as possible. They have little bodies. These are very concentrated, so you don't need much. So a little bit goes a long way.
Right. Okay.
That's one of the main things.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I just want to, thank you again for joining us today. I think this was great, some great information. And I will definitely put all of your information in the body of the video. And you can also find Randy on her Facebook group, Intuitive Angel Messages. And then do you have a website or anything else you want to share?
Sure. I have a website if you're interested in the oils, and it's www.mykay.com/MaKayKay Mommy. So it's MAKAYKAY Mommy.
Okay. And I'll definitely put that in the information section of the video. Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm looking forward to expanding my use of essential oils.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. Yay. They're so great for us. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care.
Have a great night.
Okay. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.